Hello out there, you're welcome to the newspaper review here on TAF TV, where we hear the reactions of Nigerians in regards to the headlines that are making rounds on our newspaper. Alright, my name is Bakare, I'm your host for today. Remember, you also can be part of this show. Do want to subscribe and do want to follow us up on all our social media handles. Alright, before we hit to the street like we always do every week, let's first look into the headlines and see what the headline has for us this very morning. Alright, and the first on the headline this morning, we're considering the Nigerian pilot. And on the front page of the Nigerian pilot, we're having a very bold headline here says, NFF, Nigerians dirty house of football. Interesting one. Details of that is found on page 4. 50 lawmakers write Tinubu seek Nnamdi Kalu's release. Quite an interesting story on page 9 of the Nigerian pilot. 121.6 trillion naira debt. Serap asks inspection panel to hold World Bank account. Details of that is found on page 5. And on page 7 of the Nigerian pilot, we're seeing Nigerian tax fraud, how corrupt tax officials convey with South African companies to defraud Nigerian multi-billion naira revenue. Details of that is found on page 7. And still on page 7, we are seeing cholera outbreak. Federal government tells Nigerians to avoid local drinks like Kunu, Zobo and others. Quite an interesting warning to every single Nigerian. I will not mind to take this particular headline yet again. Federal government tells Nigerians to avoid local drinks like Kunu, Zobo and the likes. Please flee from it from this very moment. Details of that, like the federal government is warning us. You can read that up on page 7 of the Nigerian pilot. Alright, moving on, we're considering the nations. And on the front page of the nations, we're seeing international organizations frustrating rollout of petrol, says Dangote Refinery. Quite a sad one. Details of that is found on page 4. Controversy trails rivers. Workers plan to protest police presence at Secretariat. You can read that up on page 5 of the nations. Governor raises dust over spending of 9 billion Hajj subsidy. Details of that is found on page 6. Illegal miners, timber loggers face sanctions in Cross River. Details of that is found on page 30. Alright, moving on, still on the nations, we're seeing Sean act of intimal to peace, insecurity in Niger Delta, says ex-agitator. Details of that is found on page 30. Still moving on, still on page 30, we are having Akwa Ibom Delta resident decried deploration road construction. Details of that, like I said, is found on page 30. State airport, however, viable. Details of that is found on page 2. And we have a very interesting story out here, catching one at that. It says, fire at church, the Christ Embassy Church in Lagos yesterday. Details of that is found on page 8. Quite a sad one. You can read that up on page 8 of the Nation newspaper. Alright, lastly for today, we're considering the Punch. And on the front page of the Punch, we have crude price hike. Dangote alleged IOCs frustrating refinery. Details of that is found on page 30. Cholera outbreak. 22 states get kits as Lagos cases hits 500. This is no longer making sense. Please, we should put all hands on deck in regards to this cholera outbreak. You can read that up on page 2. Nigerians borrowed 3.9 trillion as economic crisis beats harder. Details of that is found on page 32. Food price hike worry operators aimed at 1.2 trillion agri budget. Details of that is found on page 31. NNPC shift $700 million gas pipeline delivery date to August. Details of that is found on page 32. Alright, lastly on the Punch, we're seeing on page 8, it says Rivers crisis. Police warns NULGE against protests, threatens arrest. Details of that is found, like I said, on page 8. Alright, that's all we have for you in regards to the headlines that are making rounds on our newspaper. Now let's hit to the street of Port Harcourt and hear the reactions of Nigerians in regarding these headlines that are making rounds on our newspaper. Do well to stay tuned. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, I would like your thoughts quickly on the punch that says crude price hike. Dangote alleges IOCs frustrating refinery. Now, Dangote is finally pouring out his heart and saying that the more reasons why the refinery is not currently working, that our international bodies are hiking the price of crude so that the Nigerians generally will keep importing crude oil. So at this point the question is, are we sure we're actually free from being colonized by the whites?
A very quick one before I go to the being free from the whites is that what is our government doing about it? Are they really in support of Dangote refinery? That is number one question you need to ask. You understand? Because if the governments are in support, are fully in support, there's no way an external body will come. You understand? You're getting it now. So being free from the whites is, Africans have never been completely free from the whites. You understand? Now if you look at it, there is no African country that has ever held world power. It has always been the Western world. You understand? Even in the Western world, there are specific countries that are allowed, let me say allowed, because America in particular will not allow certain countries to hold that world power, and which is in their hands and they are not ready to let go. Now, Africa entirely is not free from the Westerners, because they always dictate some certain issues which Africans must work with. You understand? Because I don't know, we have not gained that freedom entirely, because we always want one or two things from them, and which in quotes we have the power to do these things if our government really wants to.
Really? All right, now speaking about power, let's divert a bit. You know, we are not actually free from in quotes the Rivers crisis, regardless of the fact that our governor is telling us that there is peace in Rivers State. And of late, we are hearing that some top bodies want to engage on protests regarding the fact that our police personnel have been mounting barricades across our 23 local governments. What's your take about this police barricade so far?
The police barricade initially was brought to stop this protest. You understand? But it looks like it has become another thing entirely.
It looks as there's a lot of foreplay in it.
You understand? Now it looks like they are not taking orders from the state government anymore. The orders are coming from above, because people that were sworn in office are not allowed to go into office. You understand?
At this point, it looks as if the youth stopped the ex from accessing office. Now the police are the ones stopping the present ones
from accessing office. So it looks like it's not just about the protest anymore. It is now obvious that everyone is trying to show his or her muscle. Okay. You understand?
Good morning, there.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here.
Same here.
All right, now quickly, I would like your thoughts on page 2 of the point that says cholera outbreak. 22 states get kits as Lagos cases hit 500. As at few days back, we had 104 cases, but now we're having 500 cases. And NAFDAC gave strict warnings about storing of food for 3 days, and now they are telling us to flee from and taking Zobo and the likes of it. Mm-hmm. What's your best advice to Nigerians at first?
I think this whole thing still boils down to the environment, the climate change, because I feel like this period we are in right now is a very, should I say, dying period for us, because the weather is not good. The climate itself has not been
favorable.
It has not. And apart from being favorable, when it comes to Lagos, I think he started from Lagos State, right?
Lagos.
Now, Lagos, when you look at Lagos State, they have bad drainage channel.
Okay.
Apart from their drainage channel, I feel like their environment is somehow worse compared to some states. Okay. The fact that they have industries, companies, and lots of the infrastructures, the
hygiene there is not perfect.
is as bad as anything, and they are not channeling their efforts towards that angle, because when it comes to cholera, it all has to do with water.
Okay.
When the water is being contaminated, and you intake it, at this point I just feel like our body system already has taken lots of garbage in, and they are not taking in more
of it.
It has it
The
definitely
after effect is what we are.
is going to be massive. But then I feel like if they really want to work towards it, apart from sending in kits not only going to work, but they should also focus on the environment, on sanitizing the whole states when it comes to their environment. Water, making sure that the waters are clean for intake, because even the sachet water we take too, they need to look through it. Both bottled water is the fact that not just ordinary borehole water or other waters we take, there are other things. And then for the fact that you say food, I won't say food, whether both frozen and non-frozen.
Yes. You shouldn't store your meal for more than 3 days.
In this recession, hey, if you have the opportunity to cook
store,
one meal and you stop for 1 week, that will serve you, please do.
Okay, so
The only thing there is make sure that your hygiene is perfect. Just ensure that you're clean when it comes to cooking, especially when it comes about dirty cooking. This brings in dirty cooking as well. When you use this local firewoods, charcoal and the rest of them, there are people that are not aware that those smokes also contribute to it.
There's an effect.
There is a lot of effect to it. So you try as much as possible to ensure that your cooking is clean, your water intake is clean as well. With all this, there are very slim chances that cholera will come into the picture. There are very slim chances to come into the picture, but because we let it lie, we feel like it's nothing. Africans now, this normal thing that Africans' gene are strong, so we can take anything.
This
but
is kill Africa, man.
last disease go still kill who you won't kill. You understand? Everybody's body system is not the same thing, so it's just better for everybody to take precautions and prevent whatever will lead you to even. That's just it, because apart from the government, we ourselves should take notes.
Yeah, obviously. The common man.
It can spread. It can spread. When somebody coughs and you're close to me, same thing. It's just communicable. So the best thing there is try as much as possible to abstain from dirty environments, dirty water. And for those people, most especially now that it's raining season, they drink rainwater.
That's Nigerians for you.
It is at this point currently now we shouldn't be doing that, because the air itself that we are breathing is toxic. It's toxic. Not talking about the rain the water that comes from it. So try as much as possible to avoid all those things, and then we are good to go.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
It's good to have you.
It's good to be here.
Quickly on the Punch on page 32, it says Nigerians borrow 3.9 trillion as economic crisis bites harder. Now, this is talking about the level of borrowing that Nigerians has gotten to. What's your take on that?
It's not about even the level of that Nigerians have even got to in terms of borrowing. The first thing we should look at is the economic implication.
Okay, that it has.
Yeah, that this
that borrowing in quotes,
yes, definitely, because the times we find ourselves today is a time whereby Nigerians as citizens, we're finding it difficult to go by our daily lives in terms of feeding and doing the basic things that the common man needs to do just to get by each day. And this has to do with the fact that the modern nation that we found ourselves, that's our dearest motherland, has gotten to a point whereby even before now, prior to this time, and even till next year and years to come, we will still be in the act of borrowing from other nations. And it is a consistent thing. So definitely, a point where we find ourselves whereby the nation itself is borrowing, definitely the citizens itself would definitely borrow. And this is due to the fact that the economic situation that we find ourselves, it's messed up. It's messed up. Now, this news about Nigerians borrowing is gotten from the central bank, which is the Apex Bank in Nigeria. And this has to do with the credit that's Nigeria going to banks to borrow, to acquire funds in terms of loans and all of that. Now, this is due to the fact that, as I said earlier, the economic situation we find ourselves is really bad. Now, we find out that as of last year, that is 2023 January, coming to this year 2024 January, as at last year, the figure that was there in terms of Nigerians borrowing, the amount that is being borrowed, getting loans from our local banks is amounting up to like 2.5 trillion naira. Now, coming to this year, we are seeing that amount rising more than what it was before, to 3.9 trillion, 3.9 trillion naira, and this is really bad. This is really, really bad. Now, let's do a little bit of mathematics in terms of all of this. Now, it is being said that in terms of percentage rate, the amount or the percentage in which the normal Nigerian, when I mean the normal Nigerian, I mean the common man on the street that gets this money just for consumer purpose, it's over 70%. Just for normal feeding, 70% of
common man.
A common man.
The 30% that is,
it's not even up to 30%. I think it's 20.8%.
20.8%.
It's been gotten by retailers. That is people that are using this money for businesses just to grow themselves and all of that. Now, even in the retail aspect of all of this, we found out that we have different sectors.
They're still segmented.
It's segmented, and we found out that the agricultural sector has borrowed the highest. The agricultural sector has borrowed because they want to
actually
promote the agricultural sector in terms of what is being produced locally for us to actually purchase and consume and all of that. But looking at all of this in general, this is speaking bad,
obviously,
on the country in general. If the common man has to borrow that amount in terms of percentage just to feed, then the country is becoming a mess.
So at this point, just like you actually referred to our motherland, do you think this is more of a corrupt DNA thing in as we being Nigerians?
See, I always tell people that the only crisis Nigeria as a nation has is corruption.
Corruption is in our blood.
The only crisis we have is corruption. Corruption in every angle, in terms of politics, in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity, and all of that. And believe me, this is not something that we can sit and discuss in just one day. No, because it's very broad. It's very broad. I told I could remember in my 100 level, my 200 level in school, we did a course that has to do with advertising. And we had to talk about the position that we are in terms of projecting ourselves and our culture and all of that, and what that has got to do with us and in terms of independence. And I told my lecturer that the problem Nigeria has is the fact that we were in a hurry to get independence.
We were not prepared
we were not prepared for it. And what we lacked was the fact that we never came together as a nation to sit back and tell ourselves that this is what we want to do and this is how we are going to achieve it. But beyond all of that, that is the current crisis we are going to keep facing. So I don't know, maybe our nation is going to get better.
Okay, so speaking about democracy, 25 years we're actually celebrating. Do you think we're still crawling? 25 years, after 25 years of our democracy?
We have not even started crawling.
Okay.
Do you know what democracy is?
Okay.
A government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
And the people are actually borrowing 70%.
So what are you saying in general? When we, the common man that has voted you into power, are not seeing the basic need. We are not telling you to do much. The basic need, light, food,
the basic amenities.
The basic light. We're talking about light. We're talking about shelter. We're talking about employment.
Obviously.
We're talking about good roads. We're talking about
on your manifestos alone. We should
let us see it. Let us see it. And if you are not seeing it, and we are not seeing it. You understand the statement?
Obviously.
I said if we are not seeing it, and I'm still saying that we are not seeing it. That is why this high amount of percentage of borrowing is happening in the country as at now.
Alright, we've come to the end of our newspaper review here on TAF TV. You've been opportune to hear what Nigerians got to say in regards to the headlines that are making rounds on our newspaper. Don't forget, you also can be part of this show. Do well to subscribe and follow us up on all our social media handles so that you get updated each time we drop videos like this. My name is Okeme and I have been your host for today. Do well to take care of yourself.